Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leo Alves podcast. And in today's podcast episode, I have a guest with me. He is someone who's been on before, but that was about 4 years ago now. So it's been a while, and I decided, you know what? It's time. It's time. It's time for you to come on again. He is a friend of mine. He has come to stay with me here in Portugal as well. So, I was like, how have we not had a follow-up episode? It's overdue. Anyway, I won't say too much. I'll let Austin introduce himself, what he does, where he's from, um, who his favorite, I guess, Marvel MCU character is, and shit like that,
Mm,
and then we'll go from there. Anyway, over to you,
okay.
Austin.
Yeah, so my name's Austin Chan. I am a personal trainer slash online coach of 9, almost 10 years. I'm based out here in New York City now, but so where I'm from all over the states. I was born in Iowa, grew up in Hawaii, went to Oregon for school, and then as of most recently moved to New York City about 2.5 years ago. Absolutely love it here. I think this is like the right place for this current phase of my life. And yeah, that's pretty much it from like a quick intro of me. And then my favorite Marvel character would for sure be Iron Man.
Oh, really? Are you
Yeah.
still very much watching like the MCU? Because I remember we spoke about it like 4 years ago on your podcast. And I'm gonna be
Hmm.
honest, I was like a casual, like I was a massive
Yeah.
casual, but I don't know why at the time I didn't really say anything. So I don't think I needed to. But I remember
Hmm.
some of what you were saying I didn't totally get. But this year, no, like the past, I would say year and a half, I've been slowly going through it all. So is it
Like
something?
you ever read the comics or you just like the TV shows and movies?
Mostly the TV shows and movies. The
Okay.
comics, not much, a tiny bit, but nothing where if
Mm,
someone spoke to me, I'd be able to probably entertain it. But like
mm,
very, very casual, like yeah, just a tiny bit of the comics. I don't want to say not at all, but a tiny
mm,
bit. But yeah, the movies and the series is what I've been slowly going through
mm,
over the last
mm,
year and a half with my wife.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never got into the comics. Like even as a kid, it just never something that like I got into the realm of. And I've only really like started falling into like when like the OG, what was it called? The phase one back in 2008 when like Iron Man, Captain America, all these initial all the initial Avengers came out. And then I think just like a lot of other people, we like closely followed everything. All the movies that came out were super hyped. And then after phase one, it sort of just dropped off. And I think that was in combination with COVID and everything that was happening. And then they started doing a bunch of spin-off of these shows. And then I followed along for a little bit. And then eventually I just fell off because there's just way too much stuff to follow. And then you had to, and it almost felt like you had to follow along this series to understand what's happening in like the next one. And then I think it just got too laborious to have to follow every single little thing. And then they were trying to do spin-offs of this, spin-offs of that. And then some were really good, but then some were also terrible. But I think the last thing that I watched was probably the recent Thor movie came out,
Oh, it
or
wasn't that a while ago?
I think so. But was that the last major thing that came out, or was did something else come out
No,
recently?
since then there's been like Captain America. But like the
Oh
Falcon
yeah,
is
yeah.
now Captain America. Um,
Hmm.
Again with the Red Hulk, there was Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There was Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts is the only movie I haven't seen yet. Um, I think there was like one or two more, but I'm not remembering now. So there's been
Mm,
quite a bit. I think the last four movie came out a while ago. And you
okay.
know what, I'm gonna say like I don't really like the way Marvel have like made four
Hmm.
just a bit. I think almost you could say cringy. Like
Yeah.
he in like his first few movies that he was in, including his own, like he was like this like just like this almost immortal godlike figure. And then like as the MCU was going on, I don't know, they almost made him a bit of a meme,
Mm.
like kind
Wait.
of
Sorry,
thing.
who are you talking about?
Four.
Thor? Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And I've heard from critics where they you can yeah you can see it in all the characters that they write. It's almost they they try to make them like have like the hero part and the other side, but then they always try to force some humor, and then they try to make everyone funny, which then then it almost starts to feel like every single character kind of feels the same, and they're always like these like jokey, witty like characters, which is funny in some aspects, but also at the same time, if you want each character to have its own personality and depth, like you should not be trying to make every character the same. Like it's fine if Thor's not funny, but then
Yeah,
other characters can come in as like comic relief.
I think Marvel try and force that a lot with their movies, like a bit of like humor, but it's like this shit humor. That's just,
Hmm.
it doesn't really land. It's just you can tell it feels a bit forced. I think the Marvel series are really good because the Marvel
Mm.
series, not, I haven't seen all of them. What I've seen is like a lot of the ones that were made for Netflix, like the
Hmm.
Defenders type of world, like Luke Cage, Jessica
Yeah.
Jones, The Punisher, Daredevil, Iron Fist. Like they don't force crap humor into that, and like
Hmm.
you can tell, it just feels better. Like it's darker, it's like grittier. Um,
Hmm.
and I think what they had going with those, and I know it's not made for Netflix anymore, but yeah, I think they were really good. The Loki series I thought was quite good,
Hmm.
as well. Like I thought that was quite good. But yeah, like the series they don't really force this humor, but in the movies, like it's always like yeah. I even say it to my wife. It's like oh, they're back at it again with the just crap like jokes that they have to force into every movie, and it's just I don't think I've even cracked a smile at any.
Yeah. 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 It feels too forced, and it feels like they're just writing like the same stuff over and over again, and then every movie just kind of feels like rinsed and repeated. I don't know if
Yeah.
that has anything to do with who they hire for the directors and all that. But I think it's only like a handful of them that just do direct the Marvel movies.
I'm not totally into it, into that side. Like, I'm not totally certain, but I know certain directors have come and gone. Like, there was been like pay disputes, etc. So I'm not entirely certain, but um, what I know is I do agree with you how like I think they were just going too ham on their releases for a while in like the last few
Hmm.
years, where it was almost like a quantity over quality thing, and I think they
Hmm.
lost a lot of people with that. Um, I do think it seems like from what I'm hearing is like they're starting to get that now, and they're starting to relax on the amount of quantity they're putting out and prioritizing
Hmm.
quality again.
Hmm.
Like the Spider-Man movie coming out this year and the Avengers movie coming out this year, so it's getting a lot of attention. And then I
Hmm.
think there's either like a Punisher movie coming out or a series coming out. I can't remember which one this year as well, which I don't know if you've seen any of the Punisher, but that's really good as well. I've seen season one and then like his cameos in like the Daredevil series as well. And those were
Yeah.
really good. Um, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking to get into that because I saw him in the Daredevil, and he's actually like a really good character.
Have you
And
seen
then I think
Daredevil
he's got
series?
what am I on? I think I'm on season 4 or something right now.
Oh, I haven't. I've seen one, two, and
Yeah.
three. I haven't seen four and five yet because I'm trying to.
Oh wait, no. Is 4 the one that came out recent?
It's like the Born Again. No, season. So on Disney Plus, they did a four and a five, which is like a born again part because they kind of almost, I think I heard they almost wanted to redo it entirely, but a lot of people are like, no, no, no. Like one, two, and three were really good. You can't redo it entirely. So you're gonna have to build from there.
Mm,
So like
interesting.
there's a four and five, and it was like five that came out recently.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's probably the one that I saw like a bunch of marketing for. I didn't
Yeah,
see. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy that they're relaxing a bit because a lot of what they were putting out, like you can tell, like there's this weird phase as well. Because as I was going through all the movies, and I was trying to watch it in chronological order, where I feel like you can see like the quality just declined a bit, like the storytelling,
Hmm.
and it just didn't feel as good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I did see the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie. I'm pretty stoked for
It
that.
looks good, and I heard
Yeah.
Daredevil and the Punisher are in it. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I think in the Punisher, I did see him in the trailer. I don't know about
Yeah.
Daredevil. Maybe that could be a surprise thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And there's a Spider-Man series coming out this year as well.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, who's gonna play Spider-Man?
It's someone who's quite well known and he's completely slipping
Oh,
my
okay.
mind. Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage.
I think so. Like, I'm
Oh,
gonna
is it?
Google it right.
Oh, is it based off of the multiverse thing?
Yeah, it's
He
Nicolas
plays like, oh,
Cage.
he plays like the middle-aged Spider-Man.
I guess it's like a Spider-Man that's set like back in like I don't know in like the
Oh
1900s.
no, oh no, the noir thing.
Yeah, Spider-Man Noir.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Which I don't know how you feel about that. I will be watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be a cool concept.
I didn't expect Nicolas Cage to be playing Spider-Man.
Yeah. Although no, didn't he voice it in Spider-Man the Multiverse?
I haven't seen Spider-Man the Multiverse. Oh, it's set in
Oh,
1933.
mm, that
So
checks out.
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, did you have any other like really geeky Marvel stuff to bring up before I move on to a different subject?
No, I don't think so. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but yeah, let's see how everything goes. This is going to be out obviously forever, like this podcast episode. So in a few years, people will be like, "Oh, they're speaking about that trash that came
Yeah.
out with such high hopes." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was
Mhm.
rubbish, guys. And sorry to
Yeah.
let you guys. No, I'm actually looking forward to Doomsday. Fantastic Four was really good.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I enjoyed it. I don't know how other people felt, but Fantastic Four was quite good.
Mhm.
Have you seen
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. It was okay. I thought it
The
was
movie,
okay.
I liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Mm.
with Doctor Doom being the villain, I think that's quite cool. And I'm quite curious to see um how they make like because obviously it's the same actor that played Tony Stark. I'm quite
Oh yeah. Yeah,
curious to
Robert
see
Downey
how
Jr.
they
Yeah.
I'm quite curious to see how they approach that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because someone was saying to me that Marvel are going to pretend like almost act like it's a completely new person. But knowing
Yeah.
Marvel, I don't. They're not going to do that. Like I know, knowing Marvel, they're going to make some sort of like link.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair. Because it's the same exact person, and then they can't just be like, oh, he's a totally different guy.
yeah, who will pretend has never existed before and did not play Iron Man for about 10 years or 15 years. Uh,
Hmm.
but anyway, I know you went to Colombia recently.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, how was
Yeah.
Colombia? How long were you there for?
I was there for about 2.5 weeks.
Oh wow, that's a while.
Yeah.
How was it?
Hmm. Yeah, it was awesome, honestly. It's like at face value, like you hear about all these stories of like South American countries of being like dangerous and crime ridden and all that. And I think that like that's partially true, especially if you go and seek out certain things, like you go and seek out like sex and drugs and all that, like you're gonna run into trouble because that those are just like sketchy industries in the country. But if you, for the most part, stay in like the touristy areas, practice just safe habits, like don't like go around waving your phone and don't go around attracting attention and inviting unwanted trouble, I think you're gonna be fine. Like there's still probably millions of people who visit that country like every year, and it's like one of the hottest like tourist destinations right now in the world. And so my trip specifically though, I flew into Medellin and then stayed there for 4 nights, and then actually have a friend who lives there, and so we hung out for a little bit and showed me around. And
Oh,
then
nice.
afterwards, yeah, yeah. And then Medellin was awesome. It's the city with like the perfect weather because of the way that it just sits in the valley. And so every day is just temperate and you can walk around t-shirt, shorts, and it doesn't feel too hot or too cold. And then I went down to Salento, which is like the middle part of Colombia, which is the coffee region where they grow a lot of coffee. And so bought a lot of coffee, went on a coffee tour, and then also went on the the Valle de Cocoro, which is a valley with like the cocoa trees, which is like the tallest palm trees in the world. So that was a
Okay.
yeah, that was a pretty incredible experience to see in person. And then went down to Neva, which is where my friend lives, and then also hung out with him again and showed me around his hometown. And that was a bit more slow paced, not like a ton to do, and so it was nice to just live life like a local and just
Mm.
like hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think.
then what?
Oh, go on.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, went up to Bogota after that, stayed there for a couple of nights, and then from there I did take a trip out to the Amazons, that was a pretty once in a lifetime experience,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
then finished in Cartagena.
Okay. And you've been to South America twice now?
Yeah, this is my second time. Last year I went to Brazil, this year Colombia.
Yeah, you're quite well traveled. I think you've been like going abroad quite a lot over the last few years, which is quite cool.
Hmm.
Um, what I would say, like I'm sure that with that has come like a lot of observations in
Hmm.
regard to, let's say, how like pe how people live abroad.
Yeah.
Well, abroad if you don't live there, like how people live
Hmm.
in other countries compared to, let's say, the US
Hmm.
or the UK. I know you've never been to the UK. Maybe someday, and you can try our.
Yeah,
Um,
one day.
I know you like to banter English food, and I was going to make an
Yeah.
English food. I was going to make an English food joke, but you know what? I
Yeah,
won't.
make it.
Because that's actually that is actually exaggerated online, believe it or not. Like
Yeah.
London is a
Is it
very
really?
good food. Yeah, London is a good
Yeah.
food city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
But here's my thing. You can actually find like that type of food though in London, right? Like if you go out of your way to look for it. Or is that more in like the rural areas, like the more suburban rural areas?
like what? Like the online, like to make it clear to the listener, you mean like the online taking like the piss culture out of like just not very good English
Yeah, or
food?
like what's it called? The that disgusting looking is like the eel pies and like the green gravy stuff. Like it looks like
Yeah.
that's actually a dish in England, right? If I'm not
Obviously, like
mistaken.
I said, like a lot of it is just exaggerated online for like comical purposes and ha ha ha. Sometimes it's funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you could, if you go looking for it, like you'll find it. But like that's like in America, like if I look for something like I saw
Hmm.
canned chicken. Like, do you know, like, but like a whole chicken in a can, like
Yeah.
in America, like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so if you look for that stuff, like, but it's funny, but it's a stereotype, honestly. England,
Hmm.
I know if you're from the UK and you're hearing this, you're going to agree with me because you know, but then if you're abroad and you've always heard that funny stereotype, but you've never actually been, you're just going to think this guy's chatting shit. But like England, like, does have quite good food if you go looking for it, especially in London. Like, London's like one of the
Hmm.
biggest cities in the world with like, I think one of some of the most five-star, like Michelin ranked restaurants. So,
Hmm.
like, if you can't find good food in London, like, it's definitely a skill issue. It's like finding
Yeah.
good food in New York. Like, you're gonna,
Right. Right.
like, how the
Hmm.
fuck can you not?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. All jokes aside, I've heard New York and London are very similar. And
it
if it
is.
is if it is similar in terms of diversity, I'm sure you'll find really good food.
Yeah, like you can find good food. I'm sure like you can find bad food in New York. It's like the same. Like
Yeah.
the same way. But like yeah, no, London's got good food. And as long as you don't go to like those touristy destinations, where it's like tourist traps and they probably charge you like three times the price for like this just like bang average meal, then you'll probably
Hmm.
leave it with a bit of a bad taste in your mouth, pun intended.
Yeah.
But then no, like otherwise you're gonna be good. But yeah, anyway, we have gotten way too well, I got way too sidetracked there. Like I'm sure you've noticed a lot of observations of, let's say, how people live abroad compared to, let's say, the US. Um,
Hmm.
I think it'd be quite cool to discuss some of those differences, maybe why you think maybe the US in general like has, let's say, higher levels of obesity, like maybe like lower, like I think it was a declining life expectancy for a while, although I think it started to stabilize. Um,
Hmm.
like maybe why you think maybe those factors are at play in the US compared to, I guess, you traveling abroad as much as you have over the last few years to various different destinations, and maybe you can list some of those destinations and then maybe I don't know discuss from
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, I'd say in recent years, I've traveled abroad to like Southeast Asia. I went to Vietnam last year. And then, like we said, I went to Brazil, Colombia this year. And then went to Europe. I went to Portugal and Spain to visit you. That was a couple years ago at this point. And very high level observation from someone who's a foreigner in these countries. I'd say the biggest thing that I've noticed between the US and then these countries as it relates to like obesity and health reasons. Say the biggest thing is probably just portion sizes. Like I'm someone who eats a lot. I actually like the American portion sizes, so that's something I miss when I go abroad. But I can understand that you go into another country and you have portion sizes that are smaller, and it's been well shown in research that if you have less food put in front of you, you are going to eat less. And then because of that, that's going to lead to less obesity rates and people just eating less overall. And another thing would be I think people just generally are like more exercise focused and like walk everywhere. Cities are generally just built to be more walkable. And then even in places where people don't walk as much, like I notice in especially in like the southern part of Vietnam, where like everyone's just on motorcycles, uh, that like still people are like have health more than like the forefront of their mind. Like they're still focused on like eating healthy and just trying to stay active. I see sometimes I'll see like public spaces in the parks, they have like these free gyms that you can just go and use, which is something here in the US is very hard to find. But that for sure, Colombia, I saw like a bunch of free gyms outside. I think every week there's this park in Medellin that they completely shut down and you can go and jog and you can go and like bike down. And so for sure there's a more of an emphasis and focus on health in these other countries. And I think also like elephant in the room that like when you go abroad in other countries, especially compared to the US, the focus on work culture is just not as big of a thing. Like people in the US, it's like the common phrase that everyone likes to say that people in the US often work to live, whereas other places they no, the US lives to work, and then other places they work to live. And essentially what that phrase means is that the US, like we focus so much energy and parts of our lives into working and growing our careers and just putting that in the forefront of our minds that we often prioritize that and then sacrifice other portions of our lives for work and progression and their careers and everything. But other countries, work, yes, work is a non-negotiable part of life and it is part of people's lives where they show up every single day. But at the same time, there's not as much of an emphasis on that. People will take breaks without a second thought. People will take vacation without a second thought. And if they have to prioritize other things, they'll be like, okay, the work is your work is important, but it's not like the end all be. It's not the most important thing on their schedule. And so I think there's just and because of that, there's just this more relaxed pace, I feel, especially living here in New York. People are just always constantly on the go and they're constantly trying to focus on getting the next thing, getting to work, and then lunch is seemed as like something you just have to scarf down food really quickly. Whereas especially in South America, like people are very much focused on like cooking like good quality meals. If you're taking lunch, you take like the full hour, you take even taking a little bit of extra time where you can actually truly sit down and like enjoy your meal. And I've even watched this social media post on how people say like in and I've noticed this in person too that in Colombia and in Brazil, you go to the grocery store and the frozen section does not have that many options. Whereas here in the US, you go to the frozen section, you can get any type of meal that you want frozen and ready to go. And I've heard the biggest reason for this is because people in South America they focus on like quality foods and like actually sitting down, cooking and having a high quality meal is seen as a very important thing. And that's something that you should like really take the time for. And it's not something you can just skim over and like scarf down real quick.
Yeah, I would say yeah, that's very accurate as well. I would agree with all of that based on my observations as well. Yeah, I feel like the UK is a bit guilty of some of what you said about the
Mm-hmm.
US as well. Maybe not so much on the work-life culture, but sometimes how like
Mm-hmm.
food can be almost like just something you get done. It's like just get it done, get it out the way, like just scoff it down, move on to the next thing that you have to do. But yeah, the US is definitely like I think really like guilty of that, you could almost say, and definitely
Mm-hmm.
like the work culture, hustle culture. Um, I know like workers in the US have a lot less rights compared to many other nations across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I think, and I could be wrong about some of this, but like I think paid time off, like different rules about sick leave. I think you can like,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're allowed to get sacked on the spot in the US, whereas a lot of other countries you're not allowed to. That's not allowed to happen. Like there's a lot of legal things that would have to happen first. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so I can see where you're coming from with a lot of that with yeah the
mhm,
folks in the US working no living to work and then where you're noticing that it's otherwise the other way around around the world and I think Do you know if the life expectancy has steadied out in the US? Is that something you've even looked at? I don't know.
No, honestly, no, I haven't looked too much into the numbers.
Life ex
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
gonna check that out now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, but for sure the workers' rights, and especially I mean, I'm a personal trainer in New York City, so I work with a lot of people based in New York, and a lot of the people come to me with a lot of problems, like, oh, like I have trouble with eating because they'll be like, often skip lunch because I work right through lunch, and then there's literally no balance, and they say, yeah, I start work at like 8 a.m. in the morning, and then I don't finish until like 8 p.m. or even sometimes closer to midnight, and it's just these crazy demanding jobs that people literally have to sacrifice their health and have to sacrifice other aspects. Whereas you go abroad and like this is not a thing. People like are encouraged to take time away from work and actually have that balance.
yeah. Um, okay, so I've just checked it. It turns out the life
Yeah.
expectancy was declining for a few years from
Mm,
2019 to 2021, and then it started working its way up since then, back up since then. Um,
hmm.
I also wanted to ask your opinion on like the the medical culture, what's the word, like healthcare situation out
The
there in the
healthcare
US.
system.
Like I don't want to
Oh,
like first of all I want to make it clear like I don't want this episode to be like a poo poo on the US type of episode. Like the US
yeah,
has a lot
yeah,
of like pros to it as well, you know. Like there are a lot of cool things in the US. Like you guys have Pop Tarts, but
yeah,
otherwise, no, I'm joking. I'm playing. Like
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot
Yeah,
of
we got Pop Tarts, we got McDonald's, dude.
there's a lot of like
Yeah,
genuinely like the US has a lot of genuinely cool stuff as well. Like I think like for example, the sports culture in the US is very admirable. Like I love the way how I like the system how like youth athletes will, you know, make their way to pro, and I like the seriousness with like college level sports. Like I think all of that is really cool. And you know, I've just picked a random thing out, but there's many other things as well. But I guess this is just the way that the discussion has naturally gone down. But yeah,
yeah.
what's your view on like the healthcare culture or like the situation, I guess, compared
Hmm.
to where
I
other
mean,
places you visited?
as I yeah, so I mean, I haven't gotten to firsthand experience the healthcare system in other countries, like, knock on wood. Fortunately, I haven't gotten seriously injured or had to go to the hospital or go to the doctor in other countries. But from what I've heard and heard from people who have and people who post on social media about recounting their experiences, and then also just me living in the US as someone who participates in the healthcare system here, it's like long story short, it is like pretty jacked up. There's just so many things wrong with it in terms of like there's basically no regulation as to how much drug companies, hospital, doctors can charge you. And then oftentimes there's just so many layers to it that I don't even know all the layers. And this is just me hearing from like through the grapevine from other people who talk about like being in the healthcare system, who work in the healthcare system and who also have had more in-depth like participation, like people have who have had to go through the healthcare system more because of they've had medical issues or health problems. But it's just there's just so many layers on top of it between people like these companies can charge whatever they want, and then a lot of times these doctors prescribing you medicine, they don't even know the price, and so it's not even revealed to them until they make the purchase, and then they prescribe you like medicine, and then on top of that, these healthcare companies who do charge us for insurance, it's these crazy high premium plans who like barely cover you stuff and barely give you the like the minimal coverage. And then when anything does happen, we have something called a deductible. And so because if you don't pay as much into the system, then that means they won't cover you as much. And so a lot of times these plans with very high deductibles, you have to pay like the first 10 or like 15 grand out of pocket. And then after that, they'll start covering you for that. So it's like after you've paid 10,000 or 15,000 of your own money, then they'll start covering more. And so this is they say it's for like emergencies. So like if you were to pay for like a life-saving surgery, yeah, you wouldn't have to pay as much, but at the same time, you still have to take out 10 to 15 grand of your own money. And especially now with the cost of living crisis and people just don't have enough savings, like one tiny accident that might not be your fault can put you into crippling debt that you'll never be able to pay off. And so because of this, believe the statistic is that like medical debt is the number one debt in the United States, and most citizens are facing that.
Okay. And how do you feel about that personally?
Personally, I think it's just fucked up and we need to do something about it. But with the current state of politics and where everything is at, I don't foresee change anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I yeah, probably not. There's probably a lot of other things that it seems like politicians, at least in power right now, are going to want to prioritize instead. Um, so did you have anything else you wanted to say about anything, or in regard to anything about that before I ask the next question?
Mm, no, it's just, yeah, it's just the messed up healthcare system. I wish we had something similar to other countries in terms of like a single payer system. But then obviously then now we're getting to like the politics discussion where at the end of the day, it's like our politicians just lack the political will and they don't want to do stuff to help the people. They'd rather appeal to their wealthy donors
Mm,
who are often in these pharmaceutical industries who like pay them lots of money to turn down any sort of bill or change.
I can't even argue with that.
Yeah,
Um, like I said, just so this doesn't end up sounding like some anti-US episode,
yeah.
what is something you feel like was quite is quite good or positive within the US that you feel like you appreciate more after traveling abroad to various different countries and continents over the last few years?
Mm, a good question. I'd say in terms of just like for what if like the US just being one of the like more developed like Western countries that it's just having like basic infrastructure, like I don't have to like when I turn on and go like get hot water or like the electricity is like working 100% of the time and it's like system. I mean, you can argue that certain places still are like below the curve. But I'd say the majority in the US, you still have access to a lot of basic infrastructure and basic services. Like you don't have to worry about the electricity going out, or you don't have to worry about not being able to drink from your tap. And it's just like basic stuff like that. Like I go to, and then so like certainly also cultural things. Like if I go to a restaurant, I'm sure you remember this. Like if you go to any restaurant in the US, first thing that they do is set you a glass of tap water. Whereas like you go abroad in other countries, you have to order like a bottle of water, you have to order like sparkling water or something. And this is just something that I take for granted here because yeah, I'm expecting a glass of water so I can at least like hydrate myself, especially after a long day of just running around and exploring the city and all that. And like I just don't it's just the extra friction of I don't mind paying for bottled water, but it's also the extra friction of like why do I have to pay for this when hey, I'm used to going to a restaurant back home and they just serve me a glass of water. And I'd say also just culturally, the US, and I've heard this from a lot of people as well, that generally people in the US just have a different mentality when it comes to just being like entrepreneurial, that people are just naturally are driven, and that if they have an idea, they're not afraid to speak about that ideal. And they, if they have some sort of like business pursuit or some sort of hobby that they want to pursue, there's no fear of like being judged, and people they just want to, I'm gonna go out and do this thing. I don't care whoever thinks about. And then as a result, they're much more willing to take risk and sort of like quote unquote stand out from society and stand out from the crowd.
Mm. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's another big positive about the US. Like there is definitely more that I think that there's definitely like a more of an entrepreneur style mindset, and I would say that's also more widely accepted. Whereas I think, for example, where I'm from in the UK, that's more like that's not as common, and it's more, I think, almost either immediately like shut down or not taken seriously, or I don't want to say laughed
Hmm.
at, but it's just yeah, it's not really taken as seriously. Um,
Mm,
yeah, people don't really just, I think, generally speaking like think in that direction as much. I don't want to sound like I'm hating or anything. It's just a genuine observation where
hmm.
people, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just not something people will, I think you like consider is the right word. Whereas in the
Mm,
US, it's like more common, like, oh, I've got an idea, I'm going to try it. Oh, it didn't work out well. That's all right. I'll try the next thing, or it just wasn't for me. And, I'll do, go back to like a 9 to 5. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the UK, I just don't think really people really entertain the idea at all. And when it is brought up, I think
Mm,
people kind of like almost, I think it's quite easy for people around you to almost shrug it off as well, or or just not like take what you're going to do that seriously.
mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know. I actually don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I do
Yeah.
like that about the US for sure.
Yeah. Would you say in the UK are people still like equally like as encouraging? Because I'd say in the US, like if you have I tell an idea to my friends, they'd be like, yeah, dude, you should go for it. Like worst that can happen doesn't work out and you like find something else. But like do you feel like if you were to go to like your same friend social circle and like say like you just pitch an idea, you're like, hey guys, I've been thinking about starting my own business and doing this. Like would people have the same level of encouragement?
The thing is, I haven't lived in the UK for quite a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. But
Yeah.
and I think obviously like we're speaking quite generally here because ultimately it's
Right.
going to depend on who you surround yourself with, right? But I do think generally speaking, like from my experience, Americans are more like quite like outgoing, more sociable. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, dude, like you got this, man, let's go. Whereas in the UK, it's more like, ah, all right then, that's why, yeah, why not? Yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bit more like.
Mm,
uh, I don't even think they mean anything by it. I just think it's a more cultural thing.
right.
But and yeah, like that's just generally speaking. Like, of course, you are going. It depends. Yeah, you are going to find. I just think people in the US is just a more normal thing to do and try and pursue, and then in the U, it's just not as common.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whether or not people will like support what you do there,
Mm-hmm.
probably. I do feel like Americans are more enthusiastic about supporting the. Uh, I do generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's your favorite thing? Was there anything else you wanted to say before I ask maybe the last question?
Uh, no, no.
What's your favorite thing about living in New York?
Oh, my favorite thing. I'd say the diversity, even though DI, like
I like that a
certain
lot.
people are against DI. But yeah, that's
I
just
like that a lot about London as well.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
I can literally take the train, go anywhere, try any food from around the world. And I have
yeah,
done that. And then also
exactly.
just like my friend group just so diverse where people from all over the country and all over the world. And the fact that I like every day I can have the opportunity to interact with someone from around the world and just for me I'm huge into that. I love learning about other cultures, other countries, other people and just seeing like a different lens on how people experience life and how people just go through the like the daily habits. And this is also something that I've been discovering more as I've traveled the world too, where you go to other countries and you're like, wow, this they've been here for hundreds of years and this is their way of life. And like it's like we're so similar in some senses, but we're also so different in a lot of senses as to how we approach life. But at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like quite similar about London, where it's just like, yeah, so many. And I think that's one thing I'm very grateful to have grown up around, like so many different types of people from so many different walks of life. Because yeah, I think it's something you genuinely learn to like appreciate once you've grown up and you're like, wow, yeah, that was actually quite good for me.
Hmm.
To be around, so many different people from so many walks of life. Uh, I think it can only be a net positive when you've grown up
Yeah.
and you've got like so many, all those different experiences from having grown up in and around that, like with the
Hmm.
food, the cultures, the people, the friends, you name it. Um, was there anything else that we didn't mention from throughout this podcast episode that you'd quite like to mention before I wind it down? Because I know you have to go soon.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
where can people find you?
You can find me. I'm most active on Instagram nowadays, so you can follow me on Austin Chan Fitness, and yeah, I say that's my most active platform. I do upload. I've tried to upload weekly YouTube videos now. On I just go on Reddit and like answer some questions from r/fitness. But I'd say those are the two main platforms that I'm consistently uploading and just active on.
Okay, nice. I will link your Instagram and YouTube channel in the show notes of this podcast episode. I've got like that's where I put all the links. So if you want
Yeah.
to, as the listener, if you want to, check out any of the links, you can just click in the show notes. Otherwise, Austin, thank you very much for hopping on today. I appreciate that. And otherwise, take care. See you around.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Let's go America.